What's going on, movie meals? Movie meals. I have neighbors. He has neighbors. You probably got neighbors. And we're going to talk about Neighbors
2.
Dose.
The second Neighbors.
You guys know how this works. We're going to talk about positives, negatives. We're going to then wrap it up, give it a score out of how many?
This many.
He can't count. I got a bagel. That was delicious for my meal. What you got there?
I got some pastaroni, and it's cheesy as all heck, and I'm going to enjoy every bite.
Awesome. Well, I will go ahead and start this one since you've done the last couple. I'm going to talk about the positives of Neighbors 2.
Take it away, man.
This is a spoiler review, by the way. Well, all right, this movie's funny. If you like the first one, you're going to like this movie. That's really how it is. If you didn't like the first one, you're not going to like this movie. Because it does a good job of being a funny comedy sequel, because there's not many of those. You can maybe name 10 or 15 in history good, great comedy sequels. And yes, all film's subjective, but this one's pretty good. I quite enjoyed the first Neighbors, as did you.
Yeah, I did.
And I like this one too. There's some laugh out loud moments, some funny, very quotable moments, and it's fun seeing these. These are interesting characters, especially Zac Efron's character. I really enjoy his character and the arc they keep taking him on in these movies, and it's fun to watch his development from when he's in the beginning and he's like, I'm going to help this sorority out. And then he switches sides and all he wants is to be valued. Even the moment when they're cooking eggs and he's super confused is just funny. The humor works and Zac Efron does well. I mean, they all do well. The acting is actually pretty good in this comedy. I mean, now I'm thinking of that scene where he's like, all right, now we're going to put the eggs in the boiling water. But that'll just melt them. No, it makes them hard. But it melts pasta. And they just have that moment where, like, his mind explodes. Like, it's a funny film. There's laugh out loud moments. If you like the first one, you're going to like this movie.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got? That's my biggest thing. Humor.
Another thing to add on with comedy sequels is that usually they're beat by beat the same kind of movie as from the first one, which in some cases may work, as we've seen from 22 Jump Street, and in some cases it doesn't work, like we've seen in Hangover 2. Neighbors 2, there's moments where it's beat by beat the same movie, but because they're fighting a sorority instead of fraternity, that makes it a little bit different, and the movie shows that being in a sorority is a different thing than being in a fraternity in some ways. Like, it shows how girls act differently compared to guys in this wacky situation, but at least it shows, like, it's not the same kind of scenario or the same kind of outcome. It's a different outcome when it comes to having the females be up against the neighbors instead of males being up against it, and that's what I really liked. I also like that with using the sorority as the backdrop is that they had some themes where I don't know, for females, like, being in party situations is a little bit different than for guys, and I like that they addressed that, and I like that they kind of shown a little light on that while at the same time being humorous throughout it.
It was a very 2016 movie.
Yeah.
Very following this theme that's going on right now in our culture, which is a theme that people should be talking about sexism and whatnot. Like, it is interesting how these girls, they're freshmen and they go to their first college party and they see how inappropriate it can get at fraternity parties, and they don't like that. They want more women empowering parties, so they buy the sorority house to then throw those. And yet it's still, you agree with them in a sense. Like, you're like, makes sense, they should do that. Women all the way, go for it. Like, do it, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then you still at the same time are like, man, they're being really mean to their neighbors. Like you would, and they even addressed it in the movie where Seth Rogen's like, you'd think girls would have been nicer than these boys, but we had it better with the boys. And then they freak out. Like, it's funny, and it does have those underlining themes, and
that's
worked well.
That's one of the things I liked. It had the underlying themes, but it was still funny, and it was making fun of the whole scenario that they were in, which I really enjoyed a lot. And like you said, the comedy hit home. Zac Efron's arc for that character was actually well thought out, I thought, for this movie, and I thought they did a really good job at handling a character who people didn't really think needed to come back, but I'm glad it did. And I mean, writing was on point, I thought, and it was just laugh out loud funny moments.
It did have laugh out loud moments. And it was cool seeing some of the other characters from the first one come back, like when they have their poker night, and it was the fraternity guys meeting together again type of thing. Like it's hysterical when he's like, "Yeah, I'll move out. I just need to go for a run," and he goes in bare feet and he's like crying, and like it's funny. I mean I love comedy. I love comedy, and I love comedy done well. I'm not into the stupid humor comedy where you know like a lot of like some of Adam Sandler's movies. I'm not into that type of comedy as much. I miss his older comedies that I felt were smarter. But for some reason, these Seth Rogen ones I'm quite enjoying very much. Like they have a good. The writers are really good at really getting these notes down where it's funny, but it's not just a fart joke here or
even though there might be, but at least there's
a
little bit more to it. At least their stories give a little bit more.
I mean, there's some great like even when in The Office when he's like when they're meeting and he's like airbags and everybody runs from the first one when the airbags went off and then he like runs into the filing cabinet like it. It's funny. It's a solid comedy, man. It's good. It's good. You got any negatives?
I felt like a little bit of pacing was having trouble throughout the movie. Like, I know some jokes took a little bit longer when it probably didn't need to. Could probably shorten it up. I'll actually say, Chloe Grace Moretz, while I liked her a lot as an actress, I feel like she didn't hit very good moments in this movie. I thought there was a few moments where it felt like she was the least best part of the movie. But I mean, she had a few standout moments to me, but for the most part, I thought she was the weakest part of the movie, despite her being important. I don't know, just personally, I guess. But overall, I would just say the major thing for me was pacing. And a couple of the jokes also were a bit missed, but for the most part, there were still laugh-out moments.
There were good laugh-out moments. That's one of my big things, too, is that not every joke hit. Mm-hmm. And about the three main girls, in the trailers, they really sell them. And, they're in the movie plenty, but I was expecting a little bit more of getting to know them individually a lot more. Mm-hmm. Like, some of the scenes I thought in the trailers that I saw that I thought would be, like, big gags we would see stretch out just all of a sudden happened, and there was some of the little pacing issue. I agree with you there. Like when she flies out of the car as an example. I was expecting a big bit where that would happen, and it's just a cut when he finally leaves and she just flies out. Yeah. And it's still funny. It's not as funny because, we saw it in the trailers, but they had moments of just those quick cuts. And there was the theme of her in high school not having any friends. I didn't even think that was needed. Chloe Grace Moretz's character. I didn't even really think Shelby, I think it was. Shelby was her character's name, I think
so, yeah.
I didn't need that. I didn't think you needed that. It was a nice moment at the end when Rose Byrne was like talking to them like, you guys, don't let this ruin you and stuff. Like it was
them make amends and whatnot. Yeah.
It was definitely interesting because there were themes of them thinking they're good parents. There's themes of sexism in it. There's all these different themes playing throughout the film, and they work for the most part. Some of them feel a little too much, like you could have dropped one, focused more on another and stuff. But the best moments to me were whenever Teddy was on screen. I thought Zac Efron's character was really fun to follow, and I think his dynamic with Seth Rogen is awesome. That tailgating scene I loved. I thought that was hysterical because it was one set, just followed everything through. I mean, with the clown, like that was he just kept popping out, and they switched the camera movements on you. They're going down below, and they're getting more of this like Jackbox, like jumping up horror feel to it, and it kind of makes you jump for a second, and it's funny, but it's also like kind of creepy.
I'm laughing like it's really funny.
I mean, just from like them, what are we gonna do? I'm gonna dance. That'll work. And then he forgets, the oil. And he's like, I need that. And they pour the roast or whatever on him.
Roast oil on him, and they're all oiling him down. Yeah, I mean, there's just scenes in this movie that just make you remember the movie and makes you laugh out loud, and that's what I really liked about it as well. Going back to positives.
It's a fun comedy. Go check it out, guys. It's a fun comedy.
Yeah, I definitely would.
All right, I'll go first. Mm-hmm. Score out of 10. I'm going to give it a 7.5. I think that's about what I gave the first one. That seems about right. If you like the first one, you're going to like this movie. You're probably not going to like it any more than the first, or maybe a little bit least. They're about the same to me. 7.5, good score. Very much enjoyed it. Fun scene in the theater. What about you, my man?
Actually, it's the same as you. Like, my final decision today was 7.5. Weird how that works, huh? No, well, I think the first one is probably my favorite compared to the second one. I still think the second one holds up, and it's a fun movie. People should go check it out. If they enjoy the first, they'll enjoy the second.
Mm-hmm. It's fun to see more of these characters moving forward.
Yep.
Well, guys, go check out Neighbors 2. Go check out The Nice Guys as well, or Angry Birds, which we may go see soon.
We should.
And we should have a review up if we do. Please, as always, like, comment, subscribe, dislike, whatever. Start a conversation in the comment section below. And as always, Mother, thank you for watching.
See you guys.